On this episode of Unmute the Voices, I am here at Key to Change Studio, and I'm excited to talk to you about one of my students, Amani Tompkins, who is going to join me to talk to you. Amani is a creative artist who not only plays the violin, but also dances, and she also writes and is interested in all sorts of things with the arts. She also talks about how the violin gives her freedom. And I think after watching this inspiring message, it will motivate you towards action to supporting and serving underserved students in South King County. That's right now, here on Unmute the Voices. Amani, welcome to Unmute the Voices. How are you?
I am so good. I'm really excited to be here today.
Good. I'm glad you're here. You know, you did a short little social media clip for us talking about Juneteenth. Kind of blew up the social.
A little bit.
A little bit? Is that what you do in your spare time?
Sort of. I like to create certain videos, mainly for myself, but I do love being on camera, so things like this are kind of my specialty.
Okay, all right. Your response to Juneteenth was so eloquently spoken, and a lot of people really, I think, admired your description and your experience of why it's important for people to know about it. And I'd love for you to just kind of give a part two of why it's important for people, our listeners, especially and our viewers of this show, to understand why supporting people of color in classical music who are performers and composers, why is that so important?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I started playing violin when I was in 4th grade, and in my school, at least, there were all students of color, so I was always around students of color that played violin from a young age. But as I started getting higher and higher and advancing more into violin, I started to see people that didn't look like me. I started to see that those that got private lessons, those that were in all the huge orchestras, they did not look like me. And I started to feel discouraged, and I was like, well, if I don't see people like me that are in the big leagues, what makes me think I could get there? And I feel as though it's really important that people support young Black youth, young youth of color, because we want to see ourselves succeed, and it always starts with a role model, someone who's there before us. And if we don't see that, then how are we supposed to envision ourselves there? But I also think it's really important because I like to think that Black excellence is a global thing. It's a worldwide thing. We have so many Black amazing artists and athletes in so many different categories of life. We have Black athletes, we have Black writers, but we don't have that many Black classical musicians. And while we do have some in like jazz and blues, it's very important for me at least to show that Black is versatile. We're not just one thing. We're not just one category. We're all over, and you're going to see us. So it's just very important to me that, I guess, to prove that Black is versatile and that we deserve to be in these spaces that may have not always been open to us, but we definitely do, I would say, personally dominate.
Period. Yeah, I love your response on that. And I would love for you to just talk about now, why is it important for people to support students who, like yourself, love classical music, love the violin? There's not very many of us in this genre of music. Why is it important to bring awareness, and why is it important for people to support young people like yourself?
Yeah. When thinking about that question, it's a bit hard to answer, but I would say, going back to my own experience, I didn't grow up in the most rich or privileged area. I grew up with my grandmother, and she always did the best she could. Shout out to my grandmother. She always did the best she could to make sure that I had the tools that I needed, having a violin, having a shoulder rest. But not everyone has that. And it always starts with a passion, and there are so many students that have that passion but just don't have the resources to go about that passion. And with the help of viewers that are watching this and the help of donors, they're able to give that second piece to that passion so that students are able to go about not worrying about how am I going to get a violin, how am I going to get new strings. They're able to take off that burden of these students so they can just go about playing music, which is ideally the most important part, is doing what you love. So it's very important that for donors to support students, because no child under 18 should have to worry about financial burdens that they have no control over. So I feel as though it's just very important to take the burden off of students and just allow them to go about playing the instrument they love, doing what they love. At least that's what I'm very fortunate about, and being able to do private lessons here at Key to Change. With the help of scholarships, I was able to take a step further into my passion. So donors are able to help other students like me do that.
What do you think that by giving to a student like you, what do you think that donors expect to get in return?
I would say first, goodwill, good feeling. Like, it feels good to always give. At least I would hope it always feels good to give.
Yeah.
But also, you get to kind of building off of that, you get the feeling that you were able to help a student succeed. Because it's always something, it's like when you're a mom. My mom always tells me this. She's like, when I see you doing like shows like this and like going about and being on large stages, it feels good. It's like that mama bear feeling to see your little angel just go about and just flourish. And so I always feel like that is the main feeling, at least I've been told, when people have helped me do certain things. They always tell me they feel so good watching me succeed because they feel good knowing they had a part in that. They can expect that these students will take that with them and will always remember it. And I feel as though a memory is worth more than any money, a memory, and they will take that memory on and they will pass it on. So essentially they're starting a new legacy of just giving to another student that would give to another student that would give to another student.
What do you feel like you have gotten personally from playing the violin?
I would say freedom. Definitely.
Freedom?
Definitely.
Wow. What do you feel free from?
I feel free from just restrictions, I guess, because I've always been in the arts. I've done arts literally since I was young. I started with writing, moved up to dance, and then violin. But violin is something so different because it's such a versatile instrument. While I love classical music, I love Beethoven, I love Mozart, I've gotten to branch out with my Saiso orchestra, my Southeast, and I got to do rock music. I got to play Nirvana, black violin. I got to play all these pieces that I didn't even know existed, and I got to actually take what I loved about the violin but implement it into my daily life, because I don't listen to classical music on a daily, spoiler alert, but I got to use the instrument that I love and play songs that I do listen to. And I think that part, that freedom to just play around with different genres, kind of gave me an aspect of freedom in my own life to just go out and take risks and do things that I otherwise wouldn't have.
Wow, that's really interesting. And you talk about taking risk. When a listener turns on the radio, hears an hour's worth of music by people of color who are performers or composers, in a sense, they're kind of taking a risk, right?
Yeah.
Because they're used to wanting to hear Beethoven or Mozart, like you just mentioned. What is the reason why a listener should take the risk and listen to music written or performed by people of color?
First of all, black music is just amazing. It's just beautiful. Like, why wouldn't someone want to take the risk into listening to something new and heartfelt? I like to, when I think about that question, the first thing that pops in my mind, ironically, is the blues. When I think about just listening to the blues music, because that's kind of what introduced me into like classical instruments like the bass and violin was hearing that. And so I took my own risk in listening to that music, and I was like, I don't really know about the blues. But when I listened to it, there was a familiar aspect about it that I feel as though goes back to my own roots, because I like to think Black culture is rooted in music. We came up from it and we took it with us wherever we went. And so I feel as though when you listen to Black music, whether you're of color or not, you will get that sense of familiarity. You'll be like, I've heard this drum somewhere. I've heard this pizzicato somewhere. You start to see life in front of you. You start to see this vision being created in front of you. And I don't really think of it as taking a risk. I think of it as just introducing yourself to a new side of things. So I don't think there's anything risky about that. I think it's just more so a beauty about it.
Period. Yes. That's great. That's really great. And I really hope that our viewers and listeners hear you, because, I mean, that was just so eloquently said.
Thank you.
And really, really heartfelt and thoughtful. Unmute the Voices is sponsored by Key to Change Studio. Key to Change Studio is a violin and viola studio located in Renton, Washington, which allows middle and high school underserved students living in South King County an opportunity to take violin or viola lessons. For more information, visit their website at keytochangestudio.org. Now, back to Unmute the Voices. My last question for you is, you are going into your junior year this year. Oh,
I am.
You ready for that upperclassman responsibility?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
You think you're ready?
I think I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, all right. So my question for you as an upperclassman is, as someone who is now mature, you have 2 more years before you get out into the big bad world, right?
Yeah.
How has learning the violin helped you prepare for the big bad world that's out there?
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
I would say it wasn't just learning violin. I think it's the experiences I've gotten from learning the violin that's prepared me.
What are those experiences?
So the first experience I would say is working with different conductors, and that translates to working with different people that you might not always see eye to eye with.
Hey.
Now, I love my conductor, shout out to Kim Roy, but sometimes she'll say things like, okay, so we're gonna do shifting. And I'm like, what? What do you mean we're doing shifting? I wasn't ready to do that. But it's learning how to take something and her tell me, like, we're going to do this. And while I might not agree with her that I'm ready for it, it's trusting that, okay, I can figure it out and that I am capable enough to figure this out. And I guess learning the violin has taught me I'm more capable than I know, because as anyone that has played an instrument before, they know it takes a long time to really master an instrument, violin especially. So trusting myself in order to tackle those techniques, and also trusting the people that are around me, but also being able to, like I said, work with different people, because I work with different conductors throughout playing violin, and some are good and some are just not. Okay. And it's just learning how to ignore that and take what resonates for me and using that to elevate myself. I would say another thing that violin, I guess, has helped me prepare for is just knowing that it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You're not going to get everything the first time, and violin, I feel as though, is the best thing to help with that, because even learning the basics are difficult. Learning a simple scale. I've been working on C major for, as you know, a long time.
It'll humble you.
It'll humble you.
Yeah.
And it's just being able to know, kind of going back to what I said of knowing I'm more capable than I know. Also knowing that I still have learning to do. And that I am still able to improve. And not being scared to be like, okay, I'm not the best at this, but let me look at why I'm not the best at it, learn from it, and then become the best at it. And I think those 2 skills have just prepared me well enough to go to college, interact with different people in my life, and just things like that. So,
period. Yes. That was great.
Thank you.
And you know what? And I look forward to your next 2 years and what you're going to learn and what you're going to experience that will only influence you more and get you ready for what's to come?
I'm so excited too. I'm very interested on how I progress because I never saw myself here when I was in fourth grade. In fourth grade, I just thought I would quit by the time I got to middle school because everyone always told me they did quit once they got to middle school, right before they got to high school.
Why did people quit?
Because they don't want to work.
Well,
okay,
is it just the violin? Or are we talking about? Never mind.
I mean, I feel as though part of it is not always wanting to do the work, and also just when things get hard, sometimes people are just like, okay, I can't do it. But just because things get hard doesn't mean you quit. It means you persevere. So I am so happy that I persevere because I've had so many amazing experiences because I play the violin. So I'm just excited to see what the next 2 years hold.
This is my student right here. I'm just saying. Bravo.
Thank you.
Great job. Yeah, you did great. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, I'm so happy.
I'm
to
so
do this.
proud of you. I just have to say, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to not only have you on as my guest on this show, but also to be your teacher.
I love having you as my teacher. You have helped me so much.
Yeah?
Because there are some teachers out here that...
How have I helped you? I want to know.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, hold on.
First of all,
Let me grab this tea.
First of all, y'all got peep to what I'm finna say. I've only had 2 teachers of color in my life. The first teacher I ever started with and you. And you guys are the only ones that have actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of just kept me on my game. You guys would not let me slip. More so you, because every time I'll come into a lesson and I haven't practiced for a good, I won't say how long.
I'm not going to put your business out there.
See, I will, because it's true. Y'all know. And so you always are just keeping on me, and you're like, you are capable. That's one of the things I always will remember for I believe the rest of my life, is you always tell me how capable I am. And you're always like, you can do this. And while you do say in a stern voice, I'm like, ooh. I'm like, okay. But I know you mean it with love. You're like, you can do it. You do not have to worry. You just like I was saying before, I might not be perfect at skill, but you always remind me that I will get this skill. I just have to put in the work. You keep me to put in the work, because even sometimes I get lazy, but you always remind me being lazy is not much so a weakness. It's just something you just have to overcome. So I think that's the biggest lesson I'll take from you. And also, you forced me to perform like every studio class. So.
I don't force you, I encourage you.
Both.
But because the stage is the best teacher.
That is
right?
true.
I can give you all the methods. I can teach you until my face turns red. But until you get on that stage and you're able to put the theory to practice in front of people, you won't really know what you know and what you don't know till you're on that stage. The stage is the best teacher. And so my job as your teacher is to actually take you to the master teacher, which is the stage.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that so much, because soloing at Benaroya Hall, that was an experience I will never forget.
Yeah.
It was really scary.
Yeah, of course
it was scary, because I've never soloed before. I think I've soloed before, but I guess that was my real first solo performance, and I was so nervous because you can hear me. You can hear me.
Everybody was listening. It was just you and the pianist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of scary, but I'm so happy that you encouraged me to do that, and you gave me these techniques, these practice skills to go about preparing for this. Because I remember the weeks leading up to it, I'm just like, Dr. Morris said I have to get this. I can get it. He told me I can't get it, so I will get it.
Did you get it?
I did.
That what I say.
You said it.
Period. No, but you did the work, right? And that's the thing, is I see lots of potential in you, and the viewers are obviously going to see it too. You're heading for great things, and my job as just your mentor is just to help you and encourage you to get there, and get on stage as much as possible, because like I said, the stage is the master teacher, and that's where you really start to learn who you are as an artist and how people respond to you,
Yeah.
So Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here on the show. And
Of course.
Thank you for your words. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you as well for watching the show of Unmute the Voices. Until next time, have a great day.